And we're live. That took a while. It's like
It
spin,
is.
spin.
It's like, oh my goodness, are we going to go live?
So welcome everybody. Today, I get to chat with the amazing Mr. Brendon Watt about what's right about me I'm not getting.
Yeah.
Brendon, you want to talk about that? That's a question in access consciousness. And I love that you picked that for the title of this. I was like, oh, I can't wait to have this conversation.
Well, I was like, I mean, one of the things that so many of us do as humanoids is we go straight to this place of wrongness, but it's also this battle between, well, I'm wrong, so now let me make myself right. And we're constantly in this place of judgment. And I was having a conversation with Gary the other day, and because I do it too, I make myself wrong a lot and try and make myself right. And he said, you've got to get to this point where you find out what you love about it. And I was like, what? And he's like, you love making yourself wrong. And so I was talking to him about it because one of the things he said was, if you don't get how much you love making yourself wrong, you're never going to change it. If you don't actually acknowledge that you love it, you won't change it, which was like, it changed something in my world, because it's like a lot of things when they keep showing up, there's something that we love about them. And I was just like, wow, I actually love making myself wrong, or I wouldn't choose it. So that question of what's right about me I'm not getting, it's like to get to that place where you actually start, see, because the thing with wrongness too is we hide the gift of everything with the judgment that we have of it. Yeah. So I was like, everything, we've talked about for years with access of, everything that's wrong about you is strong about you. And I was like, and I heard that and I was like, yeah, no, it can't be. I don't listen to that.
It can't be. That stuff's really bad. That's wrong.
Yeah, but it's like, but what I realized was, it's like I couldn't see beyond anything that I was judging. And I was like, wow. So I've been asking the last couple of days, what's right about me I'm not getting, but also this thing with, okay, so what do I love about this? What do I love about this that doesn't allow me to change it? And that, it's getting vulnerable enough with yourself to actually look at things like that is the only real thing that allows us to choose something different.
Yeah. Well, I'd love you to, when Gary said to you, in order to change this, let's look at what you love about it.
Yeah.
Which is such a opposite way of looking at something. I think most of us often go to, I hate this. I so want to change it. And that's what you say over and over again. I hate this. I don't know. And we have all this resistance, which doesn't create any change. It creates a whole lot of trauma and drama and bitching about things.
Yeah.
But can you say more about that vulnerability to really look at, what do I love about this? Because it seems logically that you don't, if it's frustrating you.
Yeah. And I was, well, totally. You would think, and that's the way that's the way this reality is wired, is you would think that if there was something that was bad, like, I mean, for a lot of us, we go, well, wrongness is wrong. Like, why would I choose that? But if you taking the judgment off it is where you start taking the layers off what it actually is. And I was having a conversation with someone this morning, and I realized where I was going to, even with, well, I hate how this is showing up. And I went, wait a minute, it's showing up, so I'm creating it. And that was a gift that I got in my first CIP class that I did with Gary Douglas. And he said, everything that's showing up in your life right now is based on what you're choosing. And I was like, oh, so I've lost the ability to, I don't have that place anymore where I can go, well, it's just showing up, it's just happening to me. I know that everything that's showing up in my life, I'm choosing it. So it's getting to this point, and the vulnerability comes from this space of truly looking at it and going, okay, so if it wasn't that bad, what do I actually love about this? And for me, yesterday when I was diving deep into this, I was going, okay, so what do I love about wrongness? And the thing that was coming up for me was, it gives me power.
Oh.
Like, oh, okay.
How does being wrong? Because a lot of us use, I'm wrong, I'm such a victim.
Yeah. But that's the thing that gives us power, is the victim. Because we take this, we take what appears to be this lesser position in order to be a victim, but what we actually do is we draw people in with that of save me, save me, save me, save me. And for me, what I realized was, and I still didn't think I was going to talk about this today, but it's like, but the other thing is it's like, you know, what I love about Access is to expose stuff like this and to go, hey, we're not perfect. Like, we have all of this shit coming up too. Is it's like there's a way through it. But so for me, that was coming up, and I was going, wow, it gives me power. And the other thing was, it on the switched angle was the place where it, for me personally, was the place where it was giving me a back door. As long as I have wrongness, I always have a place to escape to. So everything that is for all of you, and everywhere you're using wrongness as your back door or your cave from which you can hide in, will you destroy and create all that, please?
Yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you know what's funny, Brendon, when you say that as a back door, so if you didn't have to make yourself wrong, there'd be no, and you didn't choose wrongness, you could just keep creating and going. It's such a great way to stop yourself.
Yeah, and that keep creating and going, it's that place of, when you function from that space of possibilities, there is no definition to it. You know, and one of the things that I see so many of us choose wrongness for is this place where at least you've got something to define yourself with. We define ourselves by what we make ourselves wrong for. You don't see that many people going around going, you know what, I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, you know, and sharing all of these, the gifts that you are. You go, I'm kind of cool, but I'm also really deep down inside, like, my biggest secret is I'm really actually think I'm pathetic. But it's like, but when you expose that to you and you start looking at it and going, okay, so what's right about me, and actually looking from this different place, is you find the gift in that also. And that's what I'm interested in, is getting people to actually see the gift in everything rather than the wrongness of it.
And can you say more about like how you get there from that question of what's right about me I'm not getting? Because you mentioned before, like, people that we don't often go around being like, I'm so brilliant, I'm so amazing for whatever reason, but often it's that I don't want to be arrogant or seem like an asshole, or we just don't, that's not what's done here. You don't talk about how awesome you are. But asking, well, one, that what if that went wrong? And two, can you talk more about like how that question really is more about like the gift and how that can start to change things?
Well, it starts with changing the energy of it and bringing you out of the place where it, like, if you looked at, for people, if they looked at their lives right now and looked at everything, as soon as you go into that energy of wrongness, if you switch that to a question, because the question is where it begins, unlocking it also, is that's where you start being in that space of possibilities and not coming to the conclusion of it. And for a lot of us, it's, you have an awareness that is very rarely acknowledged. So you walk around going, I'm wrong about this. First of all, who does it belong to? You know, and having that space of going, how many people on the planet feel wrong right now? How many people on the planet are judging themselves right now? And actually switching it into a question, because that's where you start breaking apart everything that you've solidified with your point of view. And it's, I mean, the beautiful thing about Access is it's about changing the energy of your life. We all are energetic beings, and we try and function from this place of fixing things into a defined place rather than being the question and exploring what else is possible. And it's just, it takes practice, but it's a different space to live by.
Absolutely. And wow, Annette is asking, so she chose, I'm guessing, to not get the vaccine and lost her job for the choice. What's right about losing my source of income? This is a great question to use in a situation like this. What's right about me? What's right about this? Do you want to talk about that?
Well, awesome question. What's right about this? Go straight to that, because see, when you're willing to function from the question, also the universe opens up to you. So is there a greater possibility out there that you could choose now? And okay, so what choice do I have available now that I wasn't willing to choose in the past? And keep being that question. Keep being that question, and trust that you know. And that's the other thing with this too, is it's like I said before, when I first got that awareness of everything that was showing up in my life was based on what I was choosing. I went, okay, so that's everything. Everything is showing up in my life based on the choices that I'm making. So what other choices do I have available if I'm going to change my life? And recognize that somewhere, your awareness was, you know what, I'm not going to get this shot. I'm not going to get this vaccine. I know something different, and go with that and explore based on what you know, not based on being the same as everyone else. And a lot of people on the planet right now are doing this thing of, it would look like insanity, but it's more so this place of following. Everyone else is doing it, so I should do what everybody else is doing, rather than what do I know here, and what's greater out there, what's greater that's available for me that I'm not choosing, and keep being in that question.
That when you say what's greater, like what else is available for me, I think all of us could look back at something, because hindsight is really wonderful when you have some time between between losing a job or a relationship or something that seems so bad in the moment. And then it's easy in hindsight to go, oh, what was right about that? Oh, I lost that job and then this showed up, or this person, left my life and then I found this amazing friend. Like, it's friend. It never shows up how you think it will. And I
Yeah.
love that question, because it starts to put you in that space immediately rather than staying in the wrongness for so long.
Well said with that, because it does. It puts you in that space immediately.
Yep.
And that's the thing and that's why a lot of us don't function from the question, is because change can be instantaneous if we're willing to be the question. But change is also undefinable. So we go, all right, well, let me change it this way so I get this certain result, rather than what else is possible from the space of actually allowing the universe to show you what's going to create not only more in your life, but for the world. And that is, it's an uncomfortable journey. You're like, what? I'm not in total control of my life and everything that goes on around me. No, I've tried that. It doesn't work very well, unfortunately.
But I love that when you start to, you don't have to wait for hindsight, and you can start asking questions. And like you said, it opens you up to what else is possible in so many different perspectives. When you really start asking, what's right about me I'm not getting? What's right about this situation, like losing my job? And you start to be able to see those, when we talk about there being infinite possibilities, what else is possible, rather than the one wrongness of a situation, which we seem to tend to focus on here.
Well, we so focus on here, but the other thing too is it's not questioning with obsession, not going, okay, so what's right about me I'm not getting, and then looking under the carpet and trying to find an answer to it. It literally is being in the question, going, okay, so what's right about this I'm not getting, and then keep moving. It's not sit in the question and try and find it. It's expand. Well, let's do it from this space. Like, if you like being in the question, and then when something comes up, sorry, be with it. Just go, oh, okay, so that's there too. So, and then keep being in the question, but don't try and fix it based on what you've decided is wrong with that. Go, oh, okay, that's there too. Okay, cool. So what else? What's right about this I'm not getting? And keep being in that question, because that's the thing that starts. It's like, it's the thing that allows it to just start breaking apart and get to the thing that you're hiding from yourself, or get to the thing that doesn't seem to be creating much ease in your life. Because it's like, I mean, for me, when I'm doing wrongness, I basically have given up on me. And it's not a necessary place that we need to live from. So,
but when you're there, can you say more about, because it's funny, it seems like in this world, most of us learn to create from that sense of like judgment of feeling wrong. So this is wrong, or I'm wrong, so I must change it. And then that's the motivation to change. But when you were just speaking earlier, like that sense of asking questions from like a relaxation, not trying to fix everything that's wrong with you, but more opening up to possibilities. Can you elaborate on that, or how have you gotten there from?
I'm still working on that. Definitely still working on that whole patience thing, relaxing. Yeah, but I've done it my whole life, and and the thing that's been the gift lately has been like I started Access, and then I was like, okay, I'm leaving my old life behind. I don't want anything to do with that anymore. But there was still certain areas that I needed to look at, and it's only been recently that all of these things started flashing back from my childhood, and basically there was never a space to be me as a kid. So I instantaneously went to I'm wrong. I learned that very, very at a very young age that, what, this is wrong about me, this is wrong about, and I basically built this system to hide everything that was judgeable about me, which was all the beautiful things.
Yeah.
And it was actually all the things that I saw in me as a kid that I was like, oh, like, I like that. I like being the caring that I am. I like just wanting to take care of people and contribute to people. And I like that about me. But it's like, as a kid, when you have this, when you grow up in a family or you have people around you that don't receive it, you automatically see caring as a wrongness too. You see being as a wrongness, you see caring as a wrongness, you see contribution or receiving as a wrongness. You basically see you as a humanoid as wrong. So anything that is times of God's Zoom, where you're all like, holy shit, that sounds like my childhood. Where you destroy and uncreate it.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If you guys are new to that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, because who knows where you're finding this, maybe. But if you want to know more about how that works, you can go to theclearingstatement.com.
So then the next thing that we do is you go, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. How do I get it right? And that's not what this question is for. What's right about me? I'm not getting to get you to rightness, because that's just the same. That's just the different side of the same coin. But you'll start trying to prove that you are the rightness that's the opposite of that wrongness, rather than look at it and just go, okay, so let's do this. I want to give you guys this one so that you can run it. So what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can you be to be the wrongest person on planet Earth for all eternity with total ease? Everything that is times of Godzilla, where you destroy and uncreate it.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And
this is the other part of that, is if you're not willing to be something, then you resist it. So we don't only go from, like you said, with the thing of, let me find what's wrong as my motivation for change, is if you looked at it and go, okay, so I'm wrong. Oh, well.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to be it, then you don't have to resist anything that stops you from receiving that energy, because that energy is in the world. People like to judge, but when we go to this place of must avoid wrongness, then we go to the place of must avoid that which doesn't follow the status quo.
Wow. And how much in that, if you're trying to avoid being wrong, then you have no choice except to try to get everything right and be perfect and not make a mistake and not get judged, which is a lot of work, and
it's so much work.
Miserable. Yeah.
Like if you gave yourself a day without judgment, what would that be like? And most people are like, well, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't create. I wouldn't. Well, how much space would you have though if you didn't have to look at everything through this filter of good and bad, right and wrong? It just is. It is what it is. We choose what we choose based on what we're willing to choose and based on the fact that we have choice. That's it. There is no because. We do not choose because, we choose because we have choice.
I like how Carrie puts in, can you repeat that once more? And I wanted to put this up here. Annette earlier said, when we were talking about this question, she said, thank you. That helps me be open to what else is possible. It's not about them being wrong or me being right. It's about the universe has my back.
Yeah. And that, I just have to give you a bit of a plug here. with the allowance call that you and Dane just did,
Oh,
because it was so beautiful. And like, one of the gifts that I got out of that call was recognizing how many places there are in my life where I'm not in allowance for me.
yeah.
And you guys like that, the vulnerability with it is like, and this is, I mean, for a lot of people, what I see is we go to this place of, well, vulnerabilities, this weakness, like, what, I'm going to be destroyed if I expose me. And it's like, but it's one of our greatest powers. Like, when you can have that honesty with yourself and that allowance for you, which is where everything is just an interesting point of view. You're not looking at anything from this fixed place of this is what it is, or this is what it needs to be, or this is the result I'm looking at, but going, you know what? This is what it is. Now, what could I be able to do different? What could I change with this? And what could I be that would allow this to change? And it's just, so thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you. Well, that's why, when we're talking about this, it's funny because with allowance for us, it's like all of those things that you think are wrong that you have to hide. If you
Yeah.
don't hide them and really have allowance for it, it's so funny. Like you said, it was all these gifts of you as a kid
Yeah.
that you thought were the things you had to hide because it didn't match anything here. And I'll give you a plug. You just finished
Let's
unhiding,
just hug each other.
right? But you have an unhiding series coming up that's starting at the end of this month. 6 weeks, 3 months. You should know this. I have no brain. Anyway.
There's 2 calls a month, three months. Yeah, 6 calls.
But again, like the allowance for us, the unhiding the things, it's never this awful, like I think so many of us don't continue, or no, I've stopped myself dynamically along the path in certain places because I was pretty comfortable and I think I have it pretty right. And I don't want to go anymore because I might find something really awful or horrible about me or about this. And I'll just stop here.
Oh, I hear you, sister. I hear you.
Rather than, I was like, wow, but that comes from not having allowance of me or trying to hide something or keep together some sort of image rather than we're here for the change. How many of you are here for the change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, wow. And it's like, and one of the things that I realized only recently, like this whole unhiding thing and looking at the whole thing with image and everything, was I went, okay, so what am I truly here for? And I know for me, I'm here to change the world. I know I'm here to create something greater. But if you looked at certain areas of my life, it wouldn't match that. But they're all the places that I have this wrongness. Wow. And when you get to this, like when you have the vulnerability to go, you know what, I'm a bit of a fuck up. Like, I kind of like screw up a lot of shit. I make some pretty shitty choices. But also I know that when I'm being me, I'm so much greater than that. And I know I'm here to create change in the world. For so many of us, we don't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like if you just had that one acknowledgement today of, you know what, I'm making some pretty shitty choices in my life and I judge myself all the time and I have no money and my relationship sucks and blah, 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 whatever. But I also know I'm here to change the world. What gift would that be to you with exploring what's beyond what you've decided is wrong with you?
Wow.
It's like, if you have that as just basically your reference point for being, then how much does everything else in the face of wrongness become insignificant?
Wow.
It's like, okay, I had a shitty day. I judged myself all day today, but you know what? Still here to change the world.
That, because Sasha said earlier, it can feel so uncomfortable to choose to truly be you. And true story.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to choose, let's just say this. If you're going to choose consciousness and having all of you, it ain't going to be comfortable.
And like you said, but if you can know that and enjoy the ride and the exploration anyway, how much of that is actually fun for us, even though like the stuff that comes up, okay, yeah, like, but you said I'm having a shitty day, I'm gonna keep choosing. I know I'm here for something greater. It makes it more of that like adventure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other thing too with comfort, uncomfort, is the only thing that makes that gives uncomfort the intensity is the no definition of it. You can't define change. You can't define possibilities. You can't define magic. And that what I realized a lot recently was it's like I always looked for definition to create the comfort. As long as I can own this, as long as I can define it, as long as I can predict it, as long as I can predetermine it, then I can have comfort. And it's like, so you have that as one thing, but then you're also going, yeah, you know what? But I'm here to change the world. They don't go very well together.
They do not.
So it's like, you know what? Whatever shows up today is going to create greater. I know because of this point of view that I have about me that I'm here to create change.
Wow.
And one of the things that Gary, he said at the 7-day, he said, I know that every single choice I make creates a greater reality. And I was like, yes, please, I'm having that, whatever that takes. Because it's like, but this is that whole thing of beyond wrongness is imagine the freedom in that.
Yeah.
Where you're not analyzing every single choice you make. You're just choosing, knowing that you're here to create a greater world. That's it. There's your baseline. I'm here to create something greater. So now I can give myself a bit of a easier time with every single choice that I make, that one's not right and one's not wrong. I'm actually here to create change. So whatever the fuck that takes, I'm going to create it. Even if it means making the wrong choices.
Wow.
Everything that is times a godzillion, be destroyed and create it.
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And talk about using the awareness that your point of view creates your reality. If you have the point of view that every choice you make is creating something greater in the world, it's like you create that in the world. What a gift.
And you create that as your reality. And it's like, in that, I'm just, it's interesting the energy that this brings up, because it's like, if, like I didn't quite realize the relaxation in that. And I didn't realize how much I wasn't actually acknowledging that too. But it's like, if you have that as, you know what, that's what I'm here for, then every single choice you make, you're going in that direction. And we are so our worst critics.
Absolutely.
We're so harsh on ourselves, and and we walk around going, you know what, I'm going to shut this. I'm going to cut my arms off and my legs off, and I'm going to make myself into a little pile of shit so that nobody judges me. Yet you're in a constant state of judgment of yourself. And it's like, we're truly at a point in the world right now where enough of us choose it. And I do mean choose it. It's a choice. It's not something that you have to figure out, or how can I figure out how to get out of wrongness? It's, you know what? Whatever it takes, I'm going to get to total allowance of me, universe, consciousness, show me the way.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the beautiful thing about consciousness is it doesn't function within the structures of this reality. It doesn't function from 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't function from you need to do this in order to get that. It functions from the space of possibilities. So it literally is ask and you shall receive. And we keep trying to figure this shit out. You cannot figure out how to get out of wrongness.
If we could have, we would have all done it.
We would have done it I personally probably wouldn't have, because I didn't realize how much I loved it.
Well, right. Then there's those of us that would not have done it. But I love to just like bring back around one of the things you said to, like, we started this with the question of what's right about me I'm not getting. And when you talked about the idea of getting comfortable here, which is basically this reality's point of view, you should retire. And the whole target of life is to hit somewhere where you're comfortable and you don't have to create anymore. Yeah. And then, like you said, but you knew as a kid, and how many of us know that you're here for something greater to change the world, how they don't match. That is such a gift. With, like, if asking the question, what's right about me I'm not getting, like the difference of us, that you don't even think to look at because we've made it so wrong. And I just thought you said that so brilliantly, because it's such an actually unearthing from that question of, oh, my difference is something that I thought was wrong, but is really this gift.
Well, and I just thank you for saying that, because I want to, for how many of you did you know that from a very young age? But then, see, because the other thing with wrongness is it doesn't have to be verbal. How many of you were made wrong just from your being here to change the world? You know, how many of you have been made yourself wrong for being arrogant, that, you know what, I'm just me. But you being you is what changes the world. So everything that is times a godzillion, and everywhere you're aware of the judgment of others that weren't willing to be what you came here to be, where you destroy and create it.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, puddle, 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
You know, I know as a kid, like, I remember being this little fireball of just happiness but also peace. I knew from a very young age I was here to be something different.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for this conversation, because apparently there's a few things I hadn't been acknowledging about me.
Me too. I'm like, thank you for that. There's a lot of great. Thank you guys for being on. And I just also want to say, you do have stuff coming up. The easiest place to find Brendon's schedule and classes is at brendonwatt.com. He has you have a one-off call today starting in 4 or 5 hours that if you've done foundation, you all can join. Will you say the title? Are you patient?
Are you patient enough to receive what you haven't asked for yet?
Yes. So
and it's the mind boggler, which is very funny, because people are like, what does he mean?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
You have a choice of possibilities coming up in Italy and online, like a world of possibilities. You have the hiding. Anyway, go to your website. You have a lot of really wonderful stuff coming up if you guys want to check any of that out. And thank you for the conversation today. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.